Attorney's Office is the prosecutive arm for the federal government. There's 94 districts in this country. And, you know, the Attorney General of the United States is Eric Holder. He can't try all the cases. He can't be everywhere. So when they came up with the idea, they'll have a U.S. Attorney in each district. The Middle District of Florida encompasses the Tampa area. We also encompass Jacksonville, Daytona, Orlando, Ocala, Tampa, Sarasota, Fort Myers, Naples. So it's kind of weird configured district. If you ever study in politics, there's always political reasons for things being the way they are. But it covers a lot. It covers more than 50% of Florida, more than 50% of the population of Florida. Thinking about this kind of a career. How many people are thinking about a career in the law? Okay? How many people thinking like law enforcement, like the FBI, something like that? Okay? I come from a background, like many of you probably, I had no idea what a federal prosecutor was. Never heard of it. Okay? And now that's what I've done principally for the greater part of my career. I had no idea about things like the FBI. I'd heard of them. There used to be a TV show when I was a kid called the FBI, and so I'd see them. But I didn't know I'd have an opportunity to do something like that. So don't sell yourself short, first of all. And I'm not talking like a teacher, I'm talking to somebody who lived it, you know? How many people didn't do that good in high school? Kind of screwed up a little, you know? Didn't have the greatest grades? I got a scholarship to high school, and from there on I went, you know? Each year, I didn't like high school. It wasn't for me studying at that time. I was playing sports, hanging. That's what I wanted to do. And didn't see the value of it. Like a lot of people near the end of high school, I started saying, you know, I need to get my acting gear here because what am I going to do? Now, nobody in my family had ever gone to college, so when it was time to go to college, I applied to different ones. And the doctor mentioned I went to Fordham University. Anybody ever heard of Fordham? Okay. It's in New York City. You know why I picked Fordham? I'm from the Bronx. It's the closest university to my house. You know, I grew up in, anybody here grew up in New York City? Okay. You know, it's a big town, but you usually grew up in one neighborhood in town. I mean, no matter where you grew up, if you grew up in the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, you still grew up in a neighborhood within that. And then it's usually just a smaller section where you know everybody. So whether it's there or Ruskin, it's the same thing. So, you know, it's just a lot more buildings around. So I didn't have the notion that I could do these things. And that's why nobody in my neighborhood was an FBI agent. Nobody was a DEA agent. You know, some guys were cops, some were firemen, some were garbage men, no teachers, nobody had a college degree, mainly blue collar. You know, that's the type of neighborhood it was, low middle class, blue collar people. That's what makes up most neighborhoods, right? The people who actually do work in society. So then when I went into law school, my older brother had gone to law school as well. And he just went there thinking, well, I'll go to law school. He's really smart, but he's one of those guys, he never went to class, ever. Never, not one day. And then he'd read the book the night before, like all night long, and get a C. People go, man, you only got a C. I go, God, that's the smartest guy in the world, you know? He can do that. But when he got out, just like now, the economy was very bad, really bad. He couldn't get a job. And I watched him graduate from law school and can't get a job. And we were working at a hospital at the time in the Bronx. We were orderlies, you know, cleaning floors, wiping blood off the walls, things like that. Everybody here has had some rough jobs. I can tell you one bad job after the other. And a lot of those bad jobs motivate you to do something more favorable. And that's important to remember. When you're doing something bad, you think, man, I don't want to be doing this the rest of my life. And so he was still cleaning the floors with a law degree. And you could tell it was affecting him. And he was really being bothered by that. So when I went to law school, I said, I'm more of a practical guy. I mean, like I said, he's brilliant, but his feet don't touch the ground. I'm thinking, all right, I'm getting a job. And I'm going to make sure I got a job. So I went.
Hi. Yes, can you touch on, again, human trafficking? It seems like in the last 5, 6, 7 years, when you would hear the term human trafficking, you thought of third world countries and eastern countries and so forth. And just the last year, you hear of Florida, the last 6 months, Pinellas County. Is Florida now going to be a new untapped sex trade for exploitation and big bucks? And are we in front of it or are we in back of it?
you know, we're always behind everything. We're always, we're never in the front of anything, you know, and that's sad, and we're not proactive enough on that. But it's both. It's both international in Florida and local. The Jacksonville case I just talked with, the guy that got life sentences, those were Americans. They had taken the girls down from Maryland. And it was what we would think classically prostitution. But when you think prostitution, most people think, well, then that's not a crime. You know, she wants to be a prostitute, and she just is happy to be with this pimp who beats her daily, you know, and takes all her money, and you know, and that's kind of the connotation. So I think a lot of people in that field have moved it out of that now and realized the gal who's a prostitute is not there on her own volition 99.9999 times. So if you consider it more from a human trafficking standpoint, the people will look at it a little different. And then the issue, of course, is with the international, as I said, with the migrants, they're bringing them up from other countries. And now, with all these cases, you have to look at it. A girl in the Fort Myers case, a young gal, told his tale of woe. Her uncle had brought her up from Guatemala, and then he raped her. You know, and a very young prosecutor out of the Department of Justice charged him. And the next time, the woman said, yeah, he raped me too, and he raped me too, he raped me too, he, who never even saw her rape me, and I, who was never even in the same state as her, raped her anyway. This gal's got some weird, serious emotional problems. So we went back, dismissed the case, you know, the girl's got problems, and there's no indication anybody ever raped her. So, like any case, you've got to be careful about the emotional cases, the ones that grab you, because I was once, I'll be with you once I can do what I see. When I was in New York, I once was getting ready to start a trial, and I went in there, and this pretty young gal was on the stand, and she's talking about how the defendant raped her. I was sitting there, and I'm just out of law school, and the judge wasn't here. I just pound this guy. You know, you just get so mad because it's emotional, and she's crying, and then the defense lawyer gets up to ask a question. I didn't see anything else, and the first question was, now, you an alcoholic? She's a young, pretty girl. Well, yes. And you used to date him? Yes. Now, how do you think I felt? You know, I don't know what happened there, and I don't ultimately know whether he was convicted or not, but that's a lot different than when I walked in. And so, the emotional, that's one thing a prosecutor has to do. You have to, Rita Peters is a great example. She does so much of the sex crimes. You have to do a very, very good job of divorcing yourself from it and just seeing if the facts make sense. And sometimes the people that do that may come across as callous and that they have indifference to a person, but it really, it's almost like being a doctor. You have to look at the facts.